So, guys, the NBA has just released its schedule for the upcoming start of the season. They're going to be starting the season on December 22nd. Let me just go through some key dates. Preseason games are going to start December 11th through December 19th. And then we're going to have the first half of the regular season from December 22nd through March 4th. And All-Star break is going to be the week of the 5th through 10th. Then we're going to have the second half of the regular season. And then we have an interesting thing. We're going to have another play-in tournament. So this is going to be a condensed season, only 72 games. So there's going to be another play-in tournament for some of these teams that are on the bubble of making the playoffs.
Tournament.
Yeah, a play-in tournament. And then we're going to have the playoffs ending in around end of June. So, guys, what are you guys looking out for as far as how this season is going to play out and, whether or not, like, how we're going to be dealing with COVID, how we're going to be dealing with everything that's going to be presented to us in this NBA season?
You want our seedings, or you just want in general?
Just in general. Just tell me. Whatever you want, bro. Trenzy, go.
I think it's going to be it's going to have a 2K Park feel to it this year.
Yeah.
Really 2K Park feely. It's going to have a very, pickup basketball type of feel to it. It's not going to feel professional, which is why I think these little youngsters are going to thrive. I think this is the best possible rookie season you could possibly have as a rookie, because you're just kind of thrown into a game where there's absolutely nobody watching you.
Mm-hmm.
There's no type of
clear,
I messed up.
To be clear, though, it's not going to be like it was in a bubble. There's not going to be a bubble. They're actually going to be playing at the stadiums. And some stadiums are, depending on what state you live in, some stadiums are going to be having fans at the games. It's going to be a limited amount. I believe the Magic and a lot of the Florida teams are going to be having fans, social distance, and all that at the stadiums. So we're going to see somewhat of a return to, a level of normalcy. It's not going to be the bubble. So it's going to be, I think, a lot better for the players, too, because they're going to have that. They're not going to be constrained mentally and physically by everything that goes on in the bubble. And, we won't have JaVale McGee making blogs about how terrible the food is in the NBA bubble. So it's going to be a little different than it was last year.
All right. They still got nobody there. They got nobody there for real. Woo! That's what you're going to hear. You're going to hear one, maybe two people. Because mind you, dude, COVID is coming back. So we don't even know if those people are really going to. But, dude, COVID's hitting stronger, dude. We don't even know if they're going to be there that. We don't know how many bodies are going to drop dead in the next 6 months from COVID. Therefore, if they end up in the bubble, either way, I think it's good for the youngsters, because you're not performing in front of 23,000 people. You're performing in front of maybe 2,300 people.
Andrew?
Yeah, honestly, it's not going to be the same feel. Honestly, I think it's going to be a lot of these players are going to have an easier transition. You saw what happened in the bubble, where we talked about this on an earlier show, where I think the bubble and a team not having their home court advantage, a team not having their like fans there, atmosphere makes a difference. I think we talked about this. I think Toronto not being able to play the playoffs in Toronto was part of the reason why they got bounced, because that's a part of the game that you can't replicate. You can't replicate, Drake being courtside talking shit to you like if you're the other team and everything. You can't replicate that. You know what I'm saying? That takes a mental toll on you. So when you just roll out the balls and you're in an arena that's silent with just the players, at this point it's skill. At that point it's skill. And you see teams like Paul George, for example. I think Paul George, he's one of those players that feeds off of the crowd and everything like that. And you saw he had no crowd in the bubble. And he was a different Paul George than what we expected. He was a lot different than what we expected them to get. You know what I'm saying? So I think that if they're not gonna have fans like that, or they're not gonna have as many fans like that, you might see a lot of these teams that thrive on home atmosphere that they might struggle. A team that you might see, a young team of just ballers, they might come out the gate and thrive because, for example, Devin Booker, who's a straight fucking baller. You saw a different Devin Booker in that bubble than you saw in the playoff, and then you saw in the regular season. Now,
which is why they have to play in.
Don't get me wrong. Devin Booker was a baller before, but now when you put him in the environment, which is just, all right, ballers, like this is where we distinguish like the real fucking ballers from the ballers. Devin Booker, that team did not lose a fucking game in the bubble, all because of Devin Booker. So that's where you're going to see the real fucking ballers are going to distinguish themselves from everybody else.
I think so too. We talked about that. We talked about the mentality. Like that's why I think you saw the Heat team led by Jimmy Butler, who's probably the most mentally strong person in the game of basketball. That's why you saw them be so successful this season, when otherwise, they probably would have been bounced by the Bucks or another team in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think there is going to be that same level of that bubble mentality of you got to be mentally tough to kind of survive this. There's going to be virtually no home court advantage for a lot of these teams. How do you overcome that? How do you overcome these COVID protocols that are still going to be in place? And how do you overcome, if there is a COVID outbreak on the team? Because it's not going to be a bubble anymore. People forget that. Because you don't have a bubble anymore, you're more susceptible to, and we've seen it in the NFL, we've seen it in the MLB, it's happened, and it's probably going to happen this season with the NBA, a massive COVID outbreak at some point. The NFL's had to move games. MLB had to cancel like an entire week of the Marlins season, and they ended up going to the playoffs. So it's going to be an adjustment no matter what. We know that. There's going to be players who are going to get it. There's going to be games that are going to be postponed or canceled. And we're just going to have to live with that. I think that's why I'm saying the most mentally strong teams are going to end up coming out of this season in a good position to win a tip.
But that's why, like we talked about this, right? When you get to the playoffs and you talk about, like, you see all these teams and everything like that get to the playoffs and everything like that, dude, it cannot be stressed, dude. On the road, dude. A playoff game on the road, this is where we see. Like Miami, for example, right? Had Miami had to go to Milwaukee, I think it would have been a different story. I really think it would have. I think the Celtics series where the Celtics ended up beating Toronto in 7 games, right? I think
they did, yeah.
if those games were played in Toronto and Boston, it would have been a different series.
See, but the thing is,
it would have definitely been the same series.
No, I think
it would have definitely been. No,
Toronto would have had more of an advantage in that series because their home court.
Boston.
No,
Boston
Toronto's
really
home court actually means something. Though.
There are certain teams whose home court is like, dude. For example, you saw Portland. Portland got bounced in the first round. They got destroyed. Portland's home court, there are certain teams, when it comes to the playoffs, their home court is their advantage, dude. The last couple of years, Golden State, their home court has been an advantage when they were in Oracle. Utah, players will even tell you, dude, they don't like going to Utah because of the shit of the fans. They have the fans talking shit to them on top of the players on Utah talking shit to them. Like, home court in the playoffs is fucking everything. Oklahoma City in the playoffs, those years when they had Kevin Durant and they were going to the playoffs every fucking year, going to the Western Conference Finals every fucking year. Dude, home court is everything.
I've never
especially
seen
in the West.
Those OKC fans back in the day. They were something
Those
else.
were insane.
They were the greatest fans ever.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. For more content, please hit that notification bell, comment, subscribe, and everything like that. And just remember, keep it real.